You're not keto anymore? Wow. You're a piece of shit. Well, I want to take the time to thank those of you who have contributed, and because this video would not exist if not for your contribution guilting me into making some more videos, because I definitely am not feeling it. I've been coughing fairly regularly. It's getting a little bit more infrequent now, but I've been waking up several times a night, so I've had very little will other than laying in bed. And another reason I'm making this video is there's a bit of a debate going on with some of my subscribers, particularly the hardcore keto carnivores who have come to my channel for quite some many years. And if you've been here that long, you know my stance on poverty and the fact that grain is probably the only choice for some families. A lot of people look at life through the lens of how they live and their circumstances and how they are, and they think if you're not doing it according to that plan, that you're an asshole. It's part of the problem with our society. And it's normal. It's not like a new thing. If you're not doing what the herd's doing, then the herd's going to say, fuck you. That's how it works. That being said, I wanted to clear the air on a few things on why I'm not currently keto. First of all, it does not, by any means, change my view on keto. I still think it is the healthiest way to eat, and I think it's the way closest to nature that we can get in our current environment that we should be eating. However, if they were to drop your ass in the woods, in like a tropical forest, for example, yeah, you'd be out there hunting, you'd be out there trying to get meat, but that wouldn't be all you were doing. You would be going to where the fruits are when they're ripe. You'd be whacking the hornets or the bee's nest to get the fucking honey. You'd be doing whatever caloric intake you can at the cheapest labor expense. And if you knew how to do agriculture, you damn sure would. So, that being said, there is a tipping point. Would you go to a poor person and tell them, no, you just got to eat beef and eggs your whole life, and that's it? Just that's your health. No, there comes a point where you have to survive. Now, from my own perspective, I'm clearly not in dire straits yet. But I'm a kind of person that looks 2 to 3 steps down the road. And some massive, drastic changes, courtesy of the Democrats, are coming down the pipe. And while there is an ongoing battle, and I do hope it plays out in my favor, I'm not going to gamble by squandering my existing financial resources. And that means I can't afford to be keto. Now, some of you are like, well, 80% ground beef is, I believe, $8. Usually. Anything higher than that, you're paying fucking through the nose, $10 to $12 a pound. So, yes, that is $8 a pound for ground beef. Could I live that way? Probably. But here's the thing. When I take a 79-cent box of pasta and add pasta to that 1 pound of ground beef, I can get 2, sometimes maybe even 3, possibly even 4, depending on how much pasta I use, meals for that $9. That's 4 days, because I generally eat 1 meal a day. Still, OMAD all the way. Fasting hasn't left my life. You know, that's 4 fucking meals for the price of 1, with the caveat that I am making a health sacrifice. Make no mistake, grain is still poisonous. It is still, over time, will slowly debilitate you. But there comes a point where you got to weigh long-term versus short-term. And I don't think people understand the gravity of the loss of trucking as an option for me. Does it mean I'm helpless? No. But it does remove that security that I've enjoyed for years. No matter what happened, I could hop in a truck. This shit you see behind me, you're like, well, look at all that shit. He ain't fucking broke. This was all paid for working through the pandemic in the truck. Even the stuff I bought later, after I had quit, was with savings and investments that I did while in the truck. That has come to an end for now. We're still going to have to wait out the court battles, see what companies are doing, and then I will reassess once I have a better picture of how this mandate is going to affect the trucking industry. But make no mistake, Joe Biden controls the trucking industry through the Department of Transportation. And if they make it part of the DOT physical, which I haven't heard they're going to do, and it would be stupid if they did, then that will make it all but impossible. Doing what he's doing to the companies is going to make it very difficult, to say the least. And then you add in the principles of it. I don't want to compromise my freedom. And if that means sacrificing my health, my ability to do, a lot of the things I've been doing, so that I maintain that freedom, so that I say I did my part to fight this, then that's what I have to do. And I don't begrudge anybody. I know some of you got the jab and you're working your ass off and you're making all kinds of money and you're living your life, and good for you. I think you should still be against the mandate, whether you got the jab or not, because it's a separate issue. A lot of people like to lump it in. Like, oh, those anti-jabbing motherfuckers. Fuck them. When, no, it's pro-freedom. And that's why you're seeing the pushback of healthcare workers, police officers. In Chicago, they're taking the mayor to court. They're doing everything in their power to fight, including putting their livelihoods on the line. And when a government threatens to manipulate you by taking away your ability to survive and make a living, that is a tyrannical government. And when you do hop in a truck, say, and you pay the excessively growing federal taxes and the invisible tax of inflation, you aren't really fighting the battle. They don't give a shit. They got you. They don't need to fucking worry about you. But they are going to worry about those of us who don't step into that labor force. I'm unwilling. I told you at the beginning. I told you when I was out on the road. I will die on this hill. And if that means I got to eat the 79-cent box of pasta with my meat and fat and risk a heart attack, a grab, or diabetes, or any of the other fucking illnesses that will slowly return to me, along with enduring depressions, which, believe me, if I could avoid it, I would. But I've got to choose short-term survival and plan for the possibility that I might never be able to get into a truck again, in which case I need to restructure how I make money, how I live my life, and in the meantime, I'm going to make these cuts to my lifestyle. And believe it or not, keto is a luxury. It's not easy. And when you look at the supply chain, there's going to come a point where you might not even be able to get your fucking meat the way things have been going. And then where will you be? You can't eat your meat and eggs anymore. Then what? Now, true, ground beef and eggs are still cheap, but you could stretch both of those really further, much further, by adding some carbs into it. And that's only if you financially need to. I'm not sitting here saying this is what you should do for your health or this is how you should live your life. I'm saying if you're broke as fuck and you're looking down the road and it's still looking like you're gonna be broke as fuck, then you need to take steps for your short-term survival, which if you don't survive short-term, you're not going to be at the finish line when it comes time to fight the diabetes and big pharma battle. I am confident enough that I've bought myself time being keto for the past 5 years. I've added another 5 years to the health wall. If I continue to eat this way long-term, I will hit the health wall again. And then I'll have to do the same thing I did the last time I hit the health wall. And that's start over. Let's start from scratch. The difference is this time I know exactly what to do. I've done it before. And it'll be easier this time around. It should not take me long to recover from the loss of trucking as a career. Or the loss of any corporate employment opportunities, should these mandates succeed. So, I'm looking at this as a short-term preparation solution to the uncertainty of my future. You know, I am a content creator, and you guys do help. Those of you who contributed, Heidi, thank you for your generous contribution. But many of those of you, who contribute have helped me survive. And you're helping me survive now. But you don't understand. I don't get that, and then I run out and buy a fucking ribeye and call it a day, or even a bunch of fucking ground beef and stock up. No. I stretch that money out. I try and limit my spending. I can go days without spending money. Sometimes 3 or 4 days at a time without spending exactly $0 by not going anywhere and eating cheaply. And my living situation is very low cost. It's pretty much a barter deal. Like, I don't have to pay cash to keep shelter over my head. This studio you see, it's in a space that was wasted, and I put the work and effort in to restore it to use for me. It has its flaws. Like right now, it's fucking raining out. And there is floods that can happen in this basement. So I got to keep an eye out. Make sure I don't lose everything. Because I cannot, in my current financial state, replace any of this shit. And now, would it be the end of the world if I lost everything? No. If I have a laptop, I'm probably going to survive, in terms of creativity and leisurely activities. I am a minimalist. And I always approach with that frugal mindset. How can I stretch my limited income? A lot of people might think that I make a lot of money making video. I do not. You can dig through the YouTube fucking stats and you'll see I don't make a lot of money. Even with the super chats, even with the donations, it's still well below the poverty line. And if I didn't supplement with other gigs and client work and stuff like that, and I had to just turn down a client gig because I am quarantining, because I'm not an asshole. I don't need the government to tell me to quarantine. That's like, I know what I got to do. I can do it. Thank you, Daddy Biden. I can take care of myself. I'm a big boy now. Thank you for trying to be my dad, but I'm pretty sure if I look at what you did with Hunter Biden, I don't want you to be my dad. So, yeah, because your judgment isn't quite what I would call good. So, And I'm not trying to offend those of you who are able to maintain keto throughout this time. Congratulations. You're better than me. I always err on the side of caution when it comes to finances. The whole reason I'm even in a truck is when I was reaching the end of my military career, because I was fat, by the way, I wanted to maintain the middle-class lifestyle that I led in the military, that I had become accustomed to. So I went digging and did my homework and found out that trucking would have easily, with very minimal investment, allow me to survive, to continue the lifestyle I'd become accustomed to. This is before minimalism and all that, but when I was still in debt and I still, did all the stupid shit we were doing, ate all the stupid shit we were eating, and didn't take care of anything. But now I've got that benefit of hindsight and wishing I could go back and kind of make the changes I made later in life back then, and I probably would be a lot wealthier now than I am. But I am debt-free, so the pressure is pretty low. Imagine doing this, though, and having a lot of bills. Because there are people like that. You got to understand, there's a reason that the poor make up the majority of the unhealthy right now. And I don't begrudge them that. How do you tell somebody that's got like 4 or 5 kids to feed, is on food stamps, makes less than $20,000, maybe even $15,000, works at McDonald's or some shit? How do you tell them to go keto, to just eat fucking ground beef and eggs? Which could be done by a well-disciplined individual with no stress. But when you start adding all of that stress that people in that category are under, they're not going to be able to be keto until much later in life. And even then, it'll be a stretch and the damage will be done. And they will pay long-term financially for that decision, for that sacrifice. I like to think that if I notice things crossing a certain point, that I can rein it in and get back. And fasting is still a part of my life, so that'll help me prolong this even more. Take that 3 meals you could get with the pasta and spread them out over 6 days. Guess what? You make you spend a lot less money. I'm also looking at it from the perspective of our supply chain, and the prepper in me says, hey, maybe you need to put on a few pounds right now. Maybe I need to be a little fatter. So if I have to go 350 days without food, I'm not going to die as long as I got water. These are all issues that are on my mind. And I'm not telling you, that you should do what I'm doing. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to tell you my reasoning for making this decision. And this decision will end the moment this situation changes. Once I know that I could go and make $50,000 a year if I choose to, keto's back on the table. And even you saw when I was making that $50,000, being keto on the road was especially difficult. But being broke is probably the hardest way to try and be keto. And for those of you who are broke and pulling it off, you're doing a better job than me. And I thank you for that. But I'm using everything at my disposal in preparation for this loss of my ability to go out into society and get a fucking job. Does it mean there will be no jobs? No. But there'll be a hell of a lot less jobs for people like me because there'll be more competition for those jobs. You got to understand, all these people that aren't working, that are quitting, that are getting fired from their healthcare job, they're going to work and they're going to go where they can enjoy their freedom. So that job market for those people is going to be an employer's market. That means there'll be a bunch of people that want the same jobs. Same thing for Uber and contract work and being a contractor. The more people that get ejected into that system, they're going to rely on DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, all of these fucking apps to make a living. which will lower the income of everybody that makes a living on those apps. I've seen it before. Right now, it's the opposite. A lot of people aren't even doing that. But there will come a time when survival must happen, and the people that left the healthcare, the military, or the police officers, or the large, more than 100 people companies, or that aren't in the states that are fighting this, they're all going to do the same shit. And that will lower the market. I've thought all of these possibilities through. And my conclusion is to hunker down, reduce my lifestyle, reduce any spending I do, reduce my consumption, and to stretch every opportunity and dollar that comes into my life to prolong my way through this, hopefully temporary situation our country is facing. And also prepare for the eventuality that this could be a permanent change to our way of life. Because I don't have a lot of faith that the court battles are going to get her done. Because courts have political assholes and corruptness in them as well. And the corruption is far and wide and probably too deep to root out in my lifetime, and probably the lifetime of your children's children. Not to mention the debt is here to stay for generations to come. 100 years from now, they'll still be paying for money that we're spending today, which is fucking ridiculous and should make you angry. But apparently no one gives a shit as long as they got Netflix or YouTube or whatever it is you're doing that's you're comfortable doing. It's not until the majority of people become uncomfortable with our way of life that change will happen. And I'm aware of this. But I do have power over one area. My life. How I live, what I spend, what I consume, what I don't consume, who I work for, who I don't work for. It's called freedom. And sometimes freedom requires sacrifice. And I am making sacrifices to stand on this hill of freedom. You know, and some would argue, hey, you're less free, you can't do all the shit you want to do. I'm not compromising, and I can still go out in the woods. I could still travel, though it'll be a lot harder with a lower income. I can still do what I want to do. I'm not giving the government leverage, which is what they're doing. They're getting leverage over you by taking your job. Yeah, it's the jab today, but what is it tomorrow? It was masks, it was lockdowns, now it's the jab. What's next? You think they stop? Once they realize they can control you through private corporations, which is exactly what they're doing. They're controlling everyone by threatening, using corporations to threaten your way of life, your ability to survive. And the only way to avoid that is to be independent of that system. And in order to do that, you might have to make a few cuts to lifestyle. You might have to be a lot more frugal. You're definitely going to have to be debt-free. Because if you're in debt, you're not escaping this unless you default. Which is an option. I'm not a financial advice motherfucker, but as somebody who has a bankruptcy under their belt, I can tell you it's probably one of the better financial decisions I made in my life. Because I never went back. You know, I do have a credit card. There's nothing on it. And my credit rating is still shit. You know, but that's me. I've learned to live without credit. I've learned to save up and purchase the things I need. Everything you see behind you, I walked up and paid cash for. There was no loans. There was no debt. My car paid for. I have no debt. If I didn't pay my bills, the worst case scenario is this internet would go away and this phone would go away. And my car, I wouldn't be able to keep it on the road. Those are the bills. You know, food, but shelter I've kind of got worked out. So, and if I had to get rid of all of those other bills just to eat, That option's on the table. If I have to sell some shit, believe me, I know how to do that. I've done it for years. One of the reasons I became a photographer and videographer, and I have nice cameras, is I worked my way up. I started with a shitty $300 or $400 camera. I went out and made money with it. Then I sold that camera and used that plus the money I made to upgrade to the next camera. And then supplemented that with being on the road in the truck, and was able to get, the setup that I have now. Everything you see here, it was either from money, making money as a creator, or making money as a trucker. But that doesn't mean I'm attached to it. I just went out on the road for over a month, and I didn't miss any of it. I was able to live my life with a laptop, living in a vehicle. And there may come a time where that's my only option as well. And I'm prepared for that. And that's what I'm doing. I'm preparing for these things. If I do end up in my vehicle full time for some reason, I don't anticipate that's the thing. I think I got a couple more rungs to fall before that happens. I'm confident I have everything I need to make that happen. And that I could then take that vehicle to the states that do allow me to get a job and make a living that way. These are all options I'm considering. Keto is the way I prefer to eat. But I don't want to drop down to carnivore. And yes, I could do the ground beef, eggs, maybe the bacon. One of you said you got bacon for $8. But you got to understand, if I did that, that pound of ground beef is one meal. Eggs without potatoes on the side, which are still fairly cheap, that's one meal. And to be honest, whenever I ate just eggs, I was still hungry. And eggs were not filling for me. Now, the ground beef, yeah, go all day. Throw some cheese on it, a little bit of low-carb pizza sauce, I was good to go. I could do that all day. You've seen me do it. But that's one fucking meal. You've seen me chow down a pound of ground beef. When you eat that way, that's how that is. You got to understand, if you don't have a lot of income prospects and you don't want to go broke, you can't keep eating that way. It's like playing the fiddle on the fucking Titanic. You're eventually going to be at the bottom of the fucking ocean, and despite the fact that you were being healthy. You got to weigh your battles and pick and choose your battles. And right now the battle is for survival in a society that has deemed I'm no longer a part of it. When you have a president telling the world, essentially, that people like me are the fucking enemy and that we should be persecuted, removed from society, have our livelihoods and ability to make a living taken from us. I don't care whether you're jabbed or not. You should be disgusted with that. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. You should be atrociously disgusted with that prospect. And anybody who argues with me about that, I'll fucking argue that all fucking day. If you support this administration, if you are happy with what they are doing, you're essentially saying I'm your enemy. You do not want me to survive. You want me to do as I'm told so that you feel safer because you're afraid, because the media fucking told you to be afraid, and Dr. Fauci told you to be afraid. All of these very trustworthy people have told you to be afraid. Well, I'm not afraid, and I'm not afraid to do what it takes to be out here. And that's my perspective on this. I'm getting out ahead of what I see coming down the road. And I'm also prolonging my existing savings, which I still have some. It's not like it was. I spent a decent amount on the trip. Thankfully, Crypto funded at least half of that, along with some of you contributed to the channel while I was out there. That helped a lot. And as such, I'm able to survive a bit longer now. But I see the writing on the wall, and I don't want to wait till my fucking bank account's empty to take the steps necessary to prevent being completely broke. All right? I have to lower my lifestyle. In order to do that, I have to lower my lifestyle beneath my expenses. As in, I have to accumulate money right now. Not break even and not spend my savings. In order to kick the can down the road to hopefully a point where I can get back in a truck confidently and have my career still as a backup plan for the life I want to lead that makes it worth living, for the freedom I want to have. Unfortunately, our president and those who voted for him have taken that from me. So I have to do the next step to preserve what freedom I have left. I've given enough of my freedom. And I've served this country enough. And if this is what we're going to do, I will not serve that system. And that means not earning the tax revenue for them. That means being poor. And it will be a choice, obviously. I'm not being forced to be poor necessarily, unless you look at it from my perspective, in which I don't want to compromise my principles and my freedom. And you're leaving me little choice in that perspective. And it's not an excuse to eat like shit. Yes, I've had a few sugary things. Yes, my 2-drink limit is 3 drinks, but thankfully I can't afford to go drinking. But I do work in a bar, so I get the opportunity to have that subsidized from time to time. But that being said, I don't drink very often, if at all. So there's that. You know, I do eat fast food if it's cheap. You know, once in a while. I can't live in the basement or constantly never leave the house. At some point, I'm going to go out and eat. And it might be a once a month thing. And it's going to have to be cheap. I can't go sit in the restaurant and have the ribeye anymore. You're talking $75. Imagine how many fucking meals that is. No. It could be a fucking dollar menu. It could be Subway. These are atrociously unhealthy fucking things to do. But I know where the cheap food is. I lived off of it for a very long time. And if I need to stay cheap, I'm going to stay cheap. And right now, I need to stay cheap. If anything, if you're a fan of the channel, you should keep your eyes peeled, because there's going to come a point where I have to get back on the horse, where I have to fix the damage I might do during this period of time. And I will do it. And I by no means think anyone else should quit keto. But I know the environment we're in. I know the financial burden that a lot of people are under, and it's only getting worse. And I see the supply chain clusterfuck. And when you add all of that together, it's going to make keto very difficult for a lot of people. Maybe that's what the vegans want. I don't know. Maybe this is all one big vegan conspiracy to force us all back onto grain. But that being said, I still favor keto meals. I still will have meat in my diet and fat and a lot of it. But I need to supplement my diet. And yeah, I'm occasionally going to have a dopamine-inducing fucking sugary fucking thing. Because if I'm going to sacrifice my health, I might as well have a little bit of fun doing it in the process. But I'm not justifying my behavior. I'm telling you, I'm doing this to survive longer. That's it. Because if I just ate keto, my bank account would drain, and I would be forced to either get the jab and go back into the truck, or drop down a notch. Standing on a corner somewhere. Not selling my ass, but holding up a sign. And I don't know if you looked around, there's a lot of people doing that right now. And I think I can prevent myself from going that low. And I don't, and I'm not saying this to get you guys to donate to my shit, by the way. Because I notice that when I do bring up these concerns that some people do reach in their pockets and contribute to the channel, that's not why I'm saying these things. When you guys do that, I do make an effort to make more content because you guys are paying for it. You guys are compensating me for the time it takes to make these videos, and I appreciate those of you who do that. But that's not why I'm saying I'm somewhere out there. There's somebody else struggling worse than me that doesn't have it as good as I have it, and I have it fucking good. I don't have a lot of expenses, and I'm debt free. How many people could say that? So I can take that low income. I can survive as a contractor or a content creator. And if I made like $100 every couple weeks, I could probably make it work. When you go from the lifestyle of $50,000 a year to down to 15, which is what I have exactly done. If I had to add it up, I'm pretty sure I'm sitting around 15 grand for this year, and we're almost done. A couple more months, it's not looking like I'm going to be bringing in all the dough, And that's the poverty line, people. Some people, that means you're destitute, because that doesn't pay your bills. Thankfully, being a minimalist all these years, and not having a lavish lifestyle, grounded in debt, I'm able to take that 15 grand and survive on it. And still find a modicum of happiness. So, to be clear, I made more than 15 grand last year, but I was in the truck the majority of 2020. And the plan was jump in the truck, pile up the money, jump out of the truck, live my life, reclaim that all-important fucking resource that I still am very concerned with, and that's time. And then jump back in the truck as needed. And hopefully someday get to a point where I can sail the rest of my life without jumping back in a truck. But that time was not now. If you go back and look at my more optimistic time period on the road, you'll know that I had planned 100% to hop in the truck this winter so that I could do a longer trip next year. Well, that plan has been fucked for now. I'm waiting and watching and listening. Some of you have commented and told me your employer doesn't give a shit. There's going to come a time period where I have to figure out where I can go to do that plan. And that's to pile up a lot of money and then take a lot of time. That's how I wanted to finish my life out. Got, 20 to 30 or 10 or 5 years left. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm working my way towards my goal still. But I know right now I need to take a step back and prepare for the possibility that that is no longer an option and that I have to make do with contract work and content creation and client work. And those are the three streams of income, along with crypto, which has been pretty good lately, but I've already pulled a lot out of there, so I'm not pulling any more out now that we're at 61,000. So, and that has helped immensely, that latest crypto spike. That'll keep me sustained through winter, I'm pretty sure. But I'm still thinking after December things are going to get even tighter the way things are now. So I am thinking down the road, and I'm taking the steps now so that I don't take them when I have nothing left to fall back on. And you don't wait till you're over or on the edge of the cliff to stop running, You stop short of the cliff, and that's what I'm doing. I see the cliff. I don't want to go to the edge of this particular cliff. So I've stopped short, and I'm tightening the belt, and I'm going to wait and see if there's a safer way to continue my life, to achieve the goals that I have. And I still have those. I haven't given them up. It's easy to become nihilistic and lose sight of all of it, but at the end of the day, I do know where I want to be and what I want to do. And now it's just a question of getting there, and it's become more difficult to get there. So, you know, and I want to address the actual comment that inspired this video. Well, helped inspire. I'd planned on addressing this because I'd noticed many of you have had these concerns, you know, previously. So I noticed I put my face in the wrong spot before. All right. Why is it not scrolling? Oh, because I'm clicking on the wrong screen. Wow, I didn't cough the whole fucking time I was talking. Now I'm fucking having a fit. All right. Angie Gracie, stop with the excuses. I've been on keto for over 3 years, and I've never once have I eaten a ribeye steak or any... Oh, fuck. Hopefully I can finish this video. Or any steak. Well, congratulations. You know, if you want to live on ground beef and eggs and have that be the extent of your diet, then you're a more disciplined individual than I am. You know, I'm not much of a cook. You've seen my limited cooking skills. And I got to say, if it wasn't for the ribeyes and the butter smothering of them, I wouldn't have been able to stay keto as long as I did. That was one of my most looked forward to meals, and it was a staple of my diet, and it was filling, but it was one meal, and it was an expensive-ass meal when you look at the price per pound of ribeye. Can I do ground beef and eggs? Yeah, sure, I could do it for a while, probably. But like I said, that's one meal. I can take that one meal, add some fucking pasta or potatoes to them, and turn it into several meals. That's financially what I'm going to do. So, I know you might picture me going to McDonald's or some shit, but that's not the case. No. I'm just adding pasta back in, and since I'm going off of keto, I do occasionally have my addiction satisfied, which is I have a sweet tooth. I like having baked goods every now and then, and that's still a part. However, the majority of my desserts are still the same keto-friendly ones. The same keto-friendly ones that I was eating before. So, you know, all that's really changing in the eating like shit department is, yes, I'm not above eating some shitty fucking processed foods, but it's not the bulk of my diet. The bulk of my diet is cheap. Pasta, mainly, is probably the biggest thing I've added in. Haven't really put a lot of bread in my life, but if I have a sandwich, I'm going to have a fucking sandwich. You know? Because I'm not going to waste anything right now. I'm not going to throw the bun away. I'm not going to give it to the corporation that already charged me for the bun. So I might as well fucking eat it. Even though it means I might have autoimmune issues. The reason I'm sick now... fuck! The reason I'm sick now might be because of my dietary changes, and I'm well aware of that. Now some of you are debating that, and I agree completely. I would probably have a stronger immune system if I were keto, which I'd like to do. But I'm broke as far as my standards go. I don't want to be broke to a lot of people's standards because that's really super broke. I am broke to the point of discomfort that I can see the end of the cliff. I don't want to see the cliff. I want to see a road going somewhere happy. I don't want to see a cliff and drive towards it. So when I see the cliff, I'm going to try and turn and move and maneuver. You like this metaphor? It's great. And that's why I'm doing this. And it's not, there's other excuses like being on the road. Some of it is straight up addiction, failure as a human being. I'll give you that. But right now, this is a calculated decision. I'm not just doing it so I could fucking go off the rails. I'm doing it because it is fucking cheaper. That's it. And I know what it's going to cost me long term if I do it for too long. Question is, how long is that time? And I guess I'm going to have to find that out given the current situation. Buy high-fat hamburger, which, yes, is still $7 to $8. It has gone up to $8 an hour, or a pound in a lot of places. And yes, eggs are still fairly cheap, though they have also risen significantly throughout this period. But not so much that it would break the bank. And yes, I could probably do ground beef and eggs for a while and survive. But that would still be limiting, $7 a meal, $8 a meal, $9 a meal versus $3 to $4 a meal, or less, depending on the quality of the food. The more fucked up your food, the cheaper it is because you're not eating real food. You're eating empty calories with supplements in them. That's it. And I haven't gone back to everything. Like, I still only drink coffee with no sugar in it. I use my Splenda Naturals still. And those aren't cheap, but I'm not going to sacrifice that particular thing. I'm not going back to drinking sugar. Not to that point. Because I know that will fast track me to diabetes, heart disease, and all kinds of other things. But, I'm not as restrictive as I was. So once every couple days, I'll have a baked good, a cookie, slice of cake, something. Because like I said, if I'm going to feel these depressions, I might as well get some of the dopamine that I was getting and fill that addictive fucking itch. And does that make me a horrible fucking human? Probably. I don't know. Probably. I'm probably a bad person for giving in to that indulgence. But I don't get a lot of indulgences now, so I might as well enjoy the few that I get. And thankfully, those indulgences are very cheap as well. So there's that. But I'm not like fucking binging on McDonald's or getting a fucking dozen donuts and eating them all or any of that shit. No. Every once in a while, a slice of pie or a piece of cake lands on my plate, and I am the asshole that's going to eat it. So there's that. Why? Because I'm not going to waste the food that I get the chance to eat. It's opportunistic survival is what I'm practicing here. So I'm not going to turn things down that are offered to me or anything of that nature. That being said, not out buying these things either. Not out buying cakes and cookies and all of that. If I go out to buy something for myself as a treat, it's going to be the keto one. Because I don't need to fucking go crazy, That being said. So, it's a balance, but there'll be some sugar in my life. But that's it. I'm not drinking the sugar. And yes, they're going to be sneaking the sugar in through some of the foods I eat. But not if I stick to pasta and potatoes. If I do eat bread, I know I'm getting sugar that way. Or if I have condiments on stuff. But I'm not going to be nitpicky during this period. Because it's not worth it to be nitpicky. Either you're keto or you're not fucking keto. And right now I'm not fucking keto. Which means any pickiness would be the benefits of being extra picky on the carbs I'm eating would have minimal impact on my health. Although the more real food, the better, But I'll eat fruit, I do all that, and that's tainted too, people. Don't forget, I haven't forgotten Monsanto. I haven't forgotten that this is probably bringing my glyphosate levels up, destroying my gut, causing leaky gut. All the things, the concerns of the past are still there. I still remember them, and I'm not, it's not like I'm doing this with an uninformed or delusional thing. I know what I'm giving up to have this short-term survival mode. And I hope I get back to it. I really do, So, there's that. Keto has kept my cancer at bay. I'm sure it keeps flu away, too. That is not true. I was strongly keto when the first time I had to coof. And I'm, given the evidence, I'm 99% sure that this was the coof I had. And thankfully, it's a mild case. And I'm confident that I'm going to survive this. A lot of you are like fucking making these medical diagnoses by watching a fucking video. I'm going off of the evidence. The evidence is this. People I have hung out with all have tested positive and all have symptoms right now, for the most part. Some are doing better, some are doing a little worse, but they've all got it. And I just happened to get sick at the same time. I don't need to be a scientist to figure out that the correlation is there. And although correlation may not equal causation, I'm going to err on the most likely scenario. And the most likely scenario is I got the fucking coof, which is why I've locked myself in the house and I'm not going out and being around people or doing anything like that. I am quarantining. This is a quarantine video. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I don't want to expose any more people than I have to. And anybody that does come in contact with me is fully aware that I'm sick. So that's their personal decision at that point. So that being said, I'm proud to pay for my immunity the old-fashioned way instead of by giving Pfizer $75 of someone else's money because I can't afford it right now. So y'all, I'm sure y'all would happily buy me a shot, but no. Sorry. You can give that to someone else. I don't want it. So, that being said, as my immune system battles for superiority, I probably would be better off if I was keto, but I have been sick while keto before. So keto is not the cure-all. I know some people want to elevate it to this level of sainthood. It is the healthiest way to eat, in my opinion. That's my opinion, Susan. So fuck off. It's not a fact. It's my opinion. All right? I'm not here to push facts. If you want facts, go do your homework. Some of you are like, fuck keto, too. I've seen you. Gifted Green comes to mind. He's been watching and showing up for every live stream and comes in there to talk shit about keto all the time. Which is fine. Apparently you haven't watched my entire catalog of videos, and if you did, maybe you'd change your mind on that, but probably not. So, I responded with, do you make less than $15K per year during the worst inflation we have seen in my lifetime? And she responded with, you are a grown-ass, capable man. I elaborated on that a little. That can move anywhere to make a living. I cannot. So you've already got a misconception of me and my abilities in my life. I am here to help care for my mother and prevent her from ending up in a nursing home. I also have a lot of friends, some of whom have said, dude, you're not allowed to leave. If I'm stuck here, you are. I'm not going to abandon those people. I'm not. Could I? Yes. If I wanted to. If I gave no fucks about the people in my life, I would hop in that Prius right now. Right now. I would take what I could fit in there, probably a laptop, maybe a keyboard, but I probably would sell most of this shit. Hop in the Prius, head to South Dakota, change my residency, and get a fucking job. It'd be a horrible time to do it because winter's coming, but if if I did not have these other responsibilities, I would immediately do that. So you've made a misconception. This grown-ass man is doing his best to live in communist fucking New York because I care about people in my life and I don't want to abandon them. You know, I came back. You saw me out there. I was out there and I was fucking happy out there. You saw it. And I came back and I was a lot more miserable coming back. And if it were left up to me and I could do so without hurting people I care about or leaving them and abandoning them to whatever comes along, then I could easily do it. But I am here in New York because of the people I care about, one of whom is my mother. And being here for them. My mother's had 2 surgeries since I've been back, and that's one of the reasons I've been tethered here. And my plan was to work in the truck periodically, come back home, help, be here for surgeries, be here for that kind of stuff, be here for now that diabetes is probably going to take over, and then go back out and then have my travel, my leisure, 1 or 2 months on the road, and then come back and be able to do the back and forth thing between the life I want to live and the life I'm living, and finding some kind of fucking balance in that. I do not have what I consider the freedom to just say fuck New York and hop in the Prius and go. Because believe me, I know it's there. I know that option is there. And I know if all else fails, if everything falls apart, if something happens to the people I care about that no longer requires me to be here, I'll be gone. I'll be out there. Because that is the closest to freedom we had left, is the freedom I experienced on that road trip. So, I'm not as free as you think I am. But there isn't a moment that goes by where I don't consider just giving up and doing that. And then I remember that there are people that do rely on me being here. And I'm not ready to abandon them. And I don't think I ever will be, to be honest with you. So, some don't need me to be here all the time, though. So, I'll be still trying to get out there and hit the road from time to time. Finances permitting, of course. In which case, I'll have to eat really fucking cheap. You know. We're talking box mac and cheese level of fucking shittiness if I go back out on the road during this fucking time. So, if I can stay on keto, you can too. Well, that's the problem. A lot of people look at life through that lens. Just because you can do it doesn't mean everybody can do it. Just because I can do it, I can tell you there's thousands of examples of people I've tried to motivate to do this. And they wouldn't fucking do it. They tried it, some of them just looked for reasons not to, made a lot of excuses, and they never even tried to do it. You know. I don't begrudge them that. You know, my own mother has left keto as well, who probably is in a better financial position than I am, to where she could be keto. But at some point in, you know, your life, you might get to that point where you're like, well, what am I doing all this for? I'm already in the healthcare system anyway, which she is. Might as well fucking have things I like. And make no mistake, people like those addictive fucking foods that are killing everyone. You know. And it's always a balance for some people in between I'll take my chances. Does that mean everyone who rolls the dice loses, by the way? No. I have an uncle who's in his 90s. Still alive, mind you. Has eaten carbs, sugar, all of the shit that I have told you need to stop, and drank a hell of a lot of beer in his life, and is still doing, he's 90, in his 90s. Does that mean we'll all get lucky? No. Just because he did doesn't mean I'm going to be able to do it. Doesn't mean anyone. We're all on our own journeys here. We all have our own circumstances. We all have our own reasoning. We all have our own responsibilities or lack thereof. We all have different variables, so you can't just paint with this broad brush, of if I can do it, you can do it. I'm sorry, no. That's not true. And would you say that to people with different circumstances to you that for certain don't have the ability to do the things you do? And clearly, from the outcome of this, you make more money than I do. You do. So you have more options than I do. So, and yes, I'm a grown-ass man, and I'll figure it out. I'm not going to sit here, woe is me, I can't get in a truck anymore, so fuck it for the rest of my life. That's not going to be it. But I do want to find a stable, reliable, large income stream on which to replant the foundation of my life and lifestyle on, which I do not have. Trucking, that was what trucking was for me. Trucking was the foundation, the bedrock of this entire system of life that I've been doing. You thought it was making videos? No. No. The majority of financial stability I've enjoyed for the past 5 years came from trucking, whether I was in the truck or whether I wasn't in the truck. Because when I'm in the truck, I always got a mind for when I'm going to get out of the truck. I'm always like, okay, I need to put this much away. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to buy this while I'm at it, and I need to buy that because I won't be able to do it once I'm out, which is what you saw, this keyboard right here behind me. I don't know, it's a better angle. This keyboard right here, that is straight up, I bought because I had the ability to while I was in the truck. You saw me in the truck. You can go back and watch the videos. Playing this motherfucker and hauling it around the country. Very inconvenient for the space given, and if I had it to do over again, probably wouldn't do it. I'd probably just sit there with a laptop and my little fucking let's see if I got an angle on it here. If I did it again, I would probably just bring this thing, which I also bought on the road, by the way, and this laptop, and that would be all I need to do all the things I do, the creativity, any gaming I do, any shit I watch. That, there's many times where I'm able to do that. I'm able to separate myself from things. I enjoy this shit. Don't get me wrong. I love being able to sit, dick around with hardware synths, and make tracks. And I'm learning the drums, which I definitely wouldn't be able to do other than that. These are all things I enjoy and that I had earned the ability to do. And I'm content with that. Like, I don't need anything else right now. There's nothing I'm like, well, I got to buy this, I got to buy that. I honestly, for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, probably, maybe even longer, some of these synths never go away with age. I've got all the software I need to create, independent. I still do have an Adobe bill for my photography shit. But I'd get enough photography gigs to cover that expense. But at the end of the day, if life said I couldn't have these things anymore, I probably would be okay. And I know that because I've done it before. I've given up everything I had before and lived in a truck before. And I didn't look back. I was bringing shit to donation places. I left a lot behind at Nadine's. She tried to give some of it back, and I was like, no, that's all you. If you want me to get it out of there, I'll come and get it and bring it to the donation thing. And then she's like, no. So, these are all This is all my thought process. So what I wanted to come on here and explain, because I think there's some misconceptions from some people, simply because it's not what you're doing. So that's my point. I'm in survival mode. This is what I've chosen to do to prepare for what's coming. And what's coming is a fucking nightmare. And my advice to you is you should also prepare. Now, if you're financially comfortable and you can afford the 30% increase in the cost of groceries, or you can survive, you've stocked up and you're able to survive a complete failure of the supply chain, which we're pretty close to the edge of that now. And I think that if Biden's bullshit goes through, we will cross that line. A lot of people are worried about Christmas, but I'd be a little more worried about your store shelves. We're not there yet. That freight is still moving. But there will be a critical driver shortage if this mandate costs truck drivers their jobs. If the DOT decides to add the jab as a requirement for the physical, you will see a lot of loss of jobs, because a lot of truckers are freedom-minded, and it's not a fun job to begin with, so it wouldn't be a big deal for a lot of truckers who may already be financially sound because they've probably saved a lot of money over the years of trucking, to just hang their hat and be like, okay, well, that was a good run. Thankfully, I put all this money away, so see ya. And every one of those truckers will be felt throughout the supply chain that leaves. There will be some that will say, oh, fuck, I'll just get the jab. Fuck it. I don't want to I got to eat. There's that people. Those are the people who are going to cave. The ones that are in debt up to their fucking eyeballs, have families, have kids, have responsibilities, that they're just like, I'll just fucking do it for them. And I don't begrudge anybody. Everyone needs to make their own decision on this, and I'm choosing to make mine. Even though this decision is coming with a much heavier burden, because I should be free to make this fucking decision on my own without the penalty of survival in America. And I'm not going to cave in on this, no matter how uncomfortable I get, no matter how unhealthy I get as a result. Like I said, this is the hill. I'm ready to die on it. That's it. And I'm not afraid. Not afraid of it at all. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm pointing the blame at the proper direction. And at the end of the day, there's not much I can do to change other than what I can control in my life, and that's what I'm doing. I'm adapting to a fucked up environment, a fucked up situation. And that, make no mistake, that is what we are in right now. This is a fucked up, ridiculous fucking situation that I even have to consider this as an option. I remember the good old days when all I had to focus on was our food fucking system being shit and how to navigate it, and then share that knowledge with other people so that they could navigate it if they choose to. That was the whole foundation of this channel. Now it's, what the fuck can I do to navigate this bullshit? How do I survive the latest fucking dictator? How do I get by these tyrannical, corrupt politicians working for corporations that are also corrupt? For a pharmaceutical industry that wants every last one of your dollars and control over you at this point. And you're giving it to them. And there's nothing I can do to stop that. And as you know, for years I've been railing against that system. I've been talking shit about Big Pharma long before COVID. And then when I see how they're acting now, not only do I feel vindicated for all the shit I've talked over the years, I am 100% certain I do not, unless it's the most dire circumstances possible, as in usually probably out of my hands, as in I don't have control over it. I will not go to Big Pharma for anything. I don't trust them at all at this point. Is there something that could cause in my future? Abso-fucking-lutely. You know, there might be a thing that we legit have a cure for or legit have a medication to treat, but because I have been so disillusioned and upset and angry and lied to by these motherfuckers that I can't trust them for anything anymore. I don't want to put my life in their hands under any circumstances. During this current illness, I have taken no over-the-counter medication. I have not even thought or considered going to a doctor. I do not want to be in the healthcare system. And if that means I die out here because of that, that's probably it. But then who's to blame? Me? Or them who violated my trust and the trust of millions of other people? I can tell you how many letters I've gotten over the years of people that got fucked over by the pharmaceutical industry. Permanent damage to them. Misdiagnosed, mistreated. Losing loved ones left and right to Big Pharma. Who, you wonder, if they wouldn't have went to Big Pharma, would they have lived longer? We'll never know. I do know one person who probably would still be here today if it wasn't for the failures of Big Pharma. And we just lost her this year. She took her own life. And wrote a letter stating why. And while I'm not going to discuss the contents of that letter necessarily, I will say it had to do with the failures of Big Pharma and their failure to treat and address the problem. Instead of offering solutions, they offered what they thought were well-compensated Band-Aids. And I do blame Big Pharma for that. And I also blame the current administration for the shitty lifestyle on top of that. Because lifestyle has gone down for everyone. Don't know if you looked around, but we're not the great place we once were. Could we get back there? Yes. I love my country, by the way. I just think the government is a corrupt piece of shit right now. And that these corporations have gotten a little too much power for their own good. And they're ruining everything. But deep down, the idea of the Constitution and the idea of America, I am still passionate about. And that is the America I want to fucking preserve. And if that means that I have to make some personal sacrifices, then so be it. And that includes my health. And you know me, I don't make that sacrifice lightly. So, what the fuck do I know, all right? I'm probably making the bad choice here. Don't do what I'm doing. By all means, do what you can do to stay as healthy as possible. Stay keto. Do all of the things that you should be doing to take care of yourself if you are able to. And if you're not able to, and you have to address these same concerns that I'm doing, well, now you know some of the things I'm doing to do it. Doesn't mean you should do it. But hey, it's nice to know all your options. All right? And I'm sure many of you will leave suggestions in the comments. You often do. Believe me, I've got my options. I'm waiting at least a month to see how this mandate plays out in terms of everything. I think I can squeeze through the winter financially, assuming I continue the current income that I have, part of which is this channel, so you will see videos during that time. The other part will be gig economy work or any other contracts that come up or clients I get for video and photography. These fucking fits, they come and go. So, you know, it is what it is. You do you, I'll do me. Just because I'm doing something doesn't mean you should do it. And just because I'm not doing something doesn't mean you should stop. You know, at the end of the day, I'm making this decision for my life, for my survival. And it's what I believe is the path to get me through a relatively bad financial period in my life. I see it coming. I see the cliff, and I don't want to fall off of it. You know, I might end up on the edge of it, but I ain't going to fucking go over. Not if I can prevent it. And that means doing everything and making some fucking hard choices in the future. And it could get harder. You know, if I get out to the gig economy and it ends up drying up, like I think it might, then so be it. But if you like this fucking video and you want me to make more fucking videos, please hit like, subscribe, watch all the ads. Head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com. Leave a tip in the virtual tip jar. That way maybe I can eat eggs one day or fucking ground beef one day and not have to add shit to it. So that'd be nice. But in that case, you know, it is what it is. I know times are tight for everyone. I'm not expecting that you guys to be able to support me through this time period. You know, but when you guys do, I will make it a point to spend the time to make the content that I believe you guys are compensating me for. Which otherwise I'll be trying to do some gig economy work, trying to get some of my other creative endeavors spun up, working on my crypto stuff, which I do every day. First thing I do when I get up is look at my crypto portfolio and make the trades necessary to make a little fucking money that way. So there's that. And like I said, the past few weeks have been okay for that. And once again, I'd like to thank Heidi and Wendy for contributing after the last video. I appreciate it. It did give me, because I got to be honest, I was being a little bit, you know, nihilistic about my YouTube channel, and that's why you haven't gotten a lot of content, you know, depressions aside. Part of it has been I feel like this isn't going anywhere anymore, that, you know, people don't really like what I'm doing anymore, and I do get like that sometimes, and when I'm like that, I'm not as motivated to make content. And to be honest, that did let me know that you care and that you want this to continue and you want this channel to keep going. And I appreciate that. I don't think you understand what that meant to me. Because every once in a while, you know, this is a regular pattern throughout where I'm just like, well, YouTube's gone to shit. Fucking, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this anymore? And then you guys, when it seems like anytime I start to get in that mindset and I start to slack off, you guys kick me in the nuts and get me back on here. So thank you for that. I did need that kick in the nuts, to, you know, because if someone cares enough to contribute to that, they must really like what I do. And it didn't go unnoticed, and that's the reason you got a video today, to be honest, because I wasn't gonna. I feel like shit. You know, you saw the couple coughing fits I had during this. Thankfully, they're not frequent, but I definitely didn't feel the energy to get down here and do this today. So there's that. But thank you. And I'd like to take the time to thank Joe Biden and Democrats everywhere for me having to do all of this shit. You know, this is my move as a result of your move. And your political fucking tribalism has led me to this. Your hatred of a certain orange man has ruined my fucking whole plan at a good fucking semi-retired life going forward. But at the same time, I'm not quite ready to jump back into corporate slavery, and not only that, that's being removed as an option for me. So we'll see where I land. But I'll tell you where I'm laying. I'll share the whole fucking journey. So if you're one of the lefties that put me in this predicament, thank you. Appreciate you. Except I don't. What did I do to you? You know, all I wanted was freedom. I wasn't trying to take yours away. I didn't begrudge you your right to hate Orange Man or your fucking all of that fucking shit. It's when you start taking shit away from me that I have a problem. Or trying to control me and what I'm doing when what I'm doing doesn't do anything to fucking affect you whatsoever. My opinions, my thoughts, all of this fucking... It doesn't affect you. You don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. You know? It's really that simple. You don't like what I had to say, then don't fucking listen to me. It's really, I mean, does it get any more straightforward than that? Unfortunately, no. You don't like the idea of other people hearing what I have to say who might agree with me. That makes you sick, so you gotta fucking put a stop to that. At least that's the principles of Susan, the head of YouTube, or any of these social media fucking corporate giants. You know. At the end of the day, censorship over freedom. Once again, more things taken away. I have never witnessed the level of loss of freedom in my lifetime. And I went through the whole 9/11 response that we did, where we started spying on people more and started really violating your privacy when you travel, and really just, I don't know, the craziness there. Well, we've taken it to the next level under the Democrats for sure. And that was a Republican thing I didn't agree with. So there's that. But the fuck do I know? But don't worry. Pretty soon the supply chain will be back up and running. We've got hundreds of thousands of motherfuckers pouring over the border right now, getting ready to take up all these jobs that we're getting pushed out of. So you just relax. Your Amazon order will be there. Don't worry. Jeff Bezos is already recruiting the next workforce. I guarantee you he's got recruiters down there at the border. He's snapping up people at the bottom fucking dollar, and he's sending them to the state with the lowest minimum wage to fill the warehouse orders and to fill the trucks and to teach them to drive trucks and shit. So yes, the workforce is here, and they're going to happily work for the fucking shit that you can't even fucking survive on in our current economy. Have a nice motherfucking day, motherfuckers and shit.